I love old stuff. Like, it doesn't matter if it's an old record player, an old LP, or an old motorcycle, or old tools. Things that I say are older than myself have a soul to them. They've had a life. We all have our own stories, and sometimes our stories lead us down some difficult places in life. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, which led into epilepsy, started having a lot of seizures. And prior to that time, I was building motorcycles pretty much full time. And when all of the health conditions started happening, I didn't know if I was gonna live a day or a year. So I decided to sell everything. And the only thing I ended up keeping was that bike right there, that 1966 Triumph Bonneville that belonged to my dad. During that time, I got a phone call from a friend, and he said, would you be willing to bring a motorcycle out to California to be on display at one of his shows? And I had just had a seizure the month prior, so I wasn't really completely sure if I could do it. So my response was, well, if my body will let me do it, I'll do the best I can. So I decided to tackle that huge feat, and I said, if this is gonna be the last motorcycle I ever build, I wanna do the best I possibly can. So we recreated that 1952 Triumph Speed Twin and changed my life. It relaunched what I was doing into a higher level. When I look at a motorcycle, I bring it in and I look at every piece and part of it, and I see those scratches, those nicks, the rust. All of those little things tell a story for that motorcycle. So when it comes to me building a motorcycle, I take those things into consideration. So I'm that person that goes and rescues them from neglect, from being lost and being rusted to the ground. So to bring life and energy back into them, really it's a passion. It's what I really love to do. I'm not attached to them until I bled with them. Just finding the parts is bleeding with these bikes. Like the motorcycle that I'm building right now with all these different parts and pieces, these are things that I've had for years and some things that I've only had for a couple months. So the process for inspiration when it comes to building a vintage motorcycle is a lot of memories of things I've seen before, motorcycles I've seen or events, racing. Those are the things that bring the inspiration to me. It's just a fleeting thought of, hey, my dad was a drag racer, so how cool would it be to build a bike that was the same year that he was born and have it themed as a drag bike, and just take bare metal and start beating on it and forming it and turning it into something that's a piece of artwork. Every one of those little things is an inspiration. There's something to be said when it comes to working with your hands. When I'm on a motorcycle and I'm riding down the road and all of those other cares seem to pass out of my head, when I'm on that backcountry road, all I find myself doing is thinking about being back in the shop. It's just me, my hands, my tools, and just my passion. Taking old motorcycles that have been abandoned, rusted, just sitting in a corner and breathing life back into them, that's what it's all about.